Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so we got the Lakers and the Heat tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 here, 10 East. Um, the Heat beat the heck out of us last time we saw them, y'all. I mean, it wasn't pretty. We had one of our worst showings in years against the Heat last we played them. If I'm not mistaken, we lost by like close to 50 points, maybe even somewhere 93 to 134 is what the score was. It was hideous, man. And we just got to pay them back. I mean, at the end of the day, we haven't necessarily been playing well enough offensively to really top that too much, and defensively we've been awful over the last 3 games as well. So if we continue on the path we've been, we might see a repeat of the same thing. Now, last time we saw them, they did have Jimmy Butler out there. In fact, he went for 17 points on 8 of 12 shooting from the field. He will not be out there because he is still suspended. I don't know how far into his suspension, probably about 5 or 6 games at this point. They gave him a 7-game suspension. No trade has yet been made, so whatever the case, we don't have to see him. But you still got to deal with other guys. I look at the numbers from the last time we played them. We let Haywood Highsmith go for 5 threes, man. Tyler Hero hit 9 of 16. I mean, you can't possibly let something like that take place. Them walking away with 7 players in double figures. Terry Rozier with 16 off the bench. Bam Adebayo filled up the box score with a triple-double. I mean, you really let the Miami Heat do whatever they wanted to do, man. We were awful there. Bron had a pretty good game, 29 points, 8 assists, but Anthony Davis walked away with 8 points, 5 assists. I mean, come on, man. Dalton had 2. Back then, we still had D'Lo Russell, and it wasn't a whole lot going on. Max Christie had a pretty good game, 11 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds. He played well against the Heat, but did anybody else on that bench do much? I mean, Gabe Vincent went back to Miami, had 3 steals, 9 points, so that was cool. But at the end of the day, we got beat by a million, and it was bad, man. It was all kinds of bad. So we need to come back and play better. Shooting 22% from behind the arc on low volume. I mean, we like the fact that we capped off our shots at 22 since we couldn't hit but 5 of them. But you're never going to beat anybody if that's what you're doing. If that's the game plan, especially since we're shooting 42% from the field in that game, you're never going to beat anybody, especially not a Heat team at home. So now that we are dealing with the Heat on our floor, we have to acknowledge that they are on a very, very long West Coast road trip. I think this is the last game of the road trip, which means it could be a game where they are ultimately kind of letting their hair down since they've been on the road in California and Utah and Portland and all these different places. They ain't been home since the 4th. So given the fact that it's the 15th, I'm sure they're going to have that dragging feeling that comes with being on the end of a long road trip. But that doesn't mean that we can't show up against them and think we're going to get a victory. It's not that simple. Tyler Hero is playing great ball. In fact, he scored 32 points in both of the last 2 games. They are coming off a loss against the Clippers where Bam didn't play. And I did watch highlights of that game, and the Clippers just took care of business. They took advantage of the fact they didn't have Bam out there. Zubats had a pretty good game, 21 points, 20 rebounds. And Norman Powell had a huge game, 5 of 8 from behind the arc, 12 of 17 from the field, 29 points. Very underrated scorer in this league. And James Harden, 6 of 17 from the field, 6 of 10 from behind the arc. So they really just lit them up from behind the arc, crashed the boards, and just took advantage of no Bam out there. And that's kind of how they lost that game. The game before that, they played the Portland Trail Blazers. Well, they really took care of the business necessary to assure that Portland had no chance. Basically, I saw someone comment in the highlights that I was watching that it was the Jimmy Butler package kicking the Portland Trail Blazers behind. The people that they didn't want in the trade for Jimmy, or Dame rather, that was who it was. It was Dame Lillard. Yeah, whoever they wanted to reject, Portland did in regards to giving Dame to the Miami Heat were the players that kicked their behind. That's what it is I'm trying to say. Nikola Jovic had a huge game, 4-7 from behind the arc, 8 of 12 from the field, so we better be careful with him. He's getting better, 21 points, 5 assists, 8 boards in that Portland matchup on the road. Tyler Hero went off for 32 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds on 7 of 14 from behind the arc, 11 to 22. I really do think he's an all-star this year. I know it's going to be a toss-up between him and maybe someone else. He might get snubbed, he may not. But for me, I think Tyler Hero has done enough this year especially with all the turmoil and stuff that's going on. The fact this team doesn't have a whole lot of scoring on it. He's been carrying their offense a good portion of the time. I think he should be an all-star this year. I really do. Bam Adebayo did play in that one, 13 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 14 points for Hayward Highsmith on 5 steals to go along with it. Hayward Highsmith is coming along 4 or 5 from behind the arc in that game, sort of like he was killing us shooting the ball. So, we got to keep an eye open for certain guys who really played well against the Lakers, Highsmith being probably the one that comes to mind first. His confidence should be very high against our defense. He just really smoked us last time, and he's been, at the very least, he had a great Portland game. So, that's really what it is to see there, man. They just get, Khalil Ware is starting to step up. I'm not sure he'll play tonight, but he was 3 of 6 from the field, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks. His length really creates a lot of problems. So we need to be careful with Khalil Ware. He's starting to find his confidence. Terry Rozier's having a pretty good road trip as well. He walked away with 11 points, 2 steals, 4 assists. Pedestrian numbers, but, he's been pretty good on this road trip. And Jaime Hawkes has been balling. And he's from L.A. He's, outskirts of Los Angeles. He's from this Southern California area. So we got to be ready for Jaime as well, who we passed up on. A lot of people unhappy about that. I'm sure he was as well. 11 points, 1 block, 2 steals, 2 assists, and 5 rebounds in the Portland game. So they took care of Portland, man. They did a good job there. Portland's not a very good team. They shot pretty well against them, 19 of 44 from behind the arc. They did lose on the glass, though. So maybe we can take advantage of them not really being the greatest rebounding team, but they had 31 assists to 24 Portland assists. I keep telling y'all, the assists are a big deal. And when you don't have upwards of 30 of them, you're probably not going to be good enough to compete. Portland's showing us that data right here versus the Heat, who had 31 of them. Got the big win. I'm telling y'all, that's kind of what the magic number is. I was listening to Bron say he likes to keep our assists above 27, 28. I think it should be 30. I really do. I think you should be climbing into 30 to win. I was listening to something LeBron James said, and he was talking about the continuity, and we didn't like how we worked together in that game and stuff like that. It's the same thing I've been talking about. If you don't have enough assists in this league, you best believe you're on the wrong side of the win. It can't be mean ball in this league, and we've been having struggles with that over the last couple of games. Since making the D'Lo trade, our offense has been here and there as it pertains to our assists, and I think it's catering a great deal to why we're not scoring enough points to compete, especially if our defense is going to be porous the way it's been. So that's something that really needs to be understood as we go forward, as I've been talking about a lot. Before the Portland game, the road trip had them in Utah, where they had a close game against the Utah Jazz, man. Utah really showed up. Colin Sexton's been playing great ball for those who want Colin on the team. I think his contract is a little tricky to kind of make a good trade for him, but he definitely needs the hell out of Utah, man. He wants to win, and they don't want to. It's really what it is. He's the struggle there, and he's been playing pretty well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he really did show up pretty good in that game. 23 points and on 9 of 18 shooting from the field, 1 of 3 from behind the arc, 5 assists. So he came through with the scoring for his Utah team. Kessler walked away with 15 boards, 9 points, 2 blocks. Markkanen had 23 points, 5 rebounds. Filipowski really rebounded the ball, showed up in the box score pretty good, 1 block, 2 steals, 11 rebounds, 4 points. So, the Utah Jazz are a developing squad with a lot of players that are, a long way away, But ultimately, this became a situation where they let Patty Mills shoot them into a tanking situation. He had 3 of 12 from the field, 2 of 9 from behind the arc. So they brought in Patty, told him to jack up a bunch of stuff that couldn't go. So ultimately they could lose because they were playing too well. That's really what it comes down to. The Utah Jazz definitely are a shameless bunch when it comes to tanking. We saw that earlier in the year when we played them and they called a timeout on Colin Sexton's layup. Had a situation where one of the point guards there didn't want to give Sexton the ball down the stretch of the game and ended up getting a 10-second or was it 8-second violation over the line. Stuff like that, you look at Utah like, yeah, we know what you're doing, bro. But what you need to do is trade some of these players that desperately want to be a part of winning situations off of your team, Danny Ainge, so that they're not hurting your situation by playing winning basketball. So that's what it was. I think this was another example of that. The Utah Jazz had enough to win. They were playing well and then decided they didn't want to win the basketball game. Khalil Ware walked away with a good one, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 1 block, two blocks, 1 steal. Jaime Hawkes played really well in this game. 20 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. Very impressive stuff there on 7 of 11 shooting from the field, 3-5 from behind the arc. Keep an eye open for Jaime, man. I got a feeling he's going to go off tonight. That's who I have circled. Him and Highsmith are players I just think you better watch out. Terry Rozier 4-13 there, 1 of 8 from behind the arc. Very bad Terry game. Tyler Hero went for 23, 5 assists, 7 rebounds, 1 steal there. Bam went for 15, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 3 assists, 7 rebounds. On 6 of 13 shooting from the field, 1 or 2 from behind the arc. Be careful with Bam. He does attempt 3-point shots here and there. Highsmith did not have a good game in that one. 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 6 from behind the arc. Of course, we saw him bounce back against the Portland Trailblazers as I work backwards on their schedule. So that was their Utah game. You know, Utah just didn't want to win, man. That's what it really came down to. We know that. So moving on, we look at further back as my phone slows down for some reason. But the Heat played, I think it was this Sacramento Kings, if I'm not mistaken, in that game. Saw highlights of that one. It was a thriller. I think that's what that was. My phone is not giving me the answers there right now. So we wait. But nevertheless, you know, they've been on a road trip where, you know, I think the highlight game for me was that Sacramento game, man. They really had a good time punching on the Kings. Actually, you know what? The game before that was against the Golden State Warriors. As I look at it, the game before the Utah game was the Golden State Warriors game, and then the Kings game was the first game on the road trip, which was an absolute thriller. But yeah, that's really how that goes. Hopefully I can see some stats now. Here we go. So we'll look at the Golden State game. That was pretty much a blowout. Golden State's way, 114-98. Steph Curry had a really good game. My phone is tripping. I don't know what the hell's going on there. But nevertheless, this is what it really comes down to. You just love and appreciate Steph Curry. He's one of my favorite players to watch in this league. Seeing the highlights, him just hitting shots from behind the arc like they were layups, really did tell the story for me in regards to that game. They just would not let up at all on that team, and that's what I saw there. A Miami Heat team that just was not quite ready to play, and they got their butts whipped. And since I'm having issues with my phone, I'll just move on to what I remember from the the Sacramento King game, which was a double overtime thriller. Lots of good stuff to talk about in regards to that game. That team, Sacramento, really played well, man. And, you know, it just came down to Keon Ellis really just lighting the scoreboard up on both sides of the floor, hitting big shots. If I'm not mistaken, it was DeMar DeRozan that had a huge second overtime. That's what I saw there. It was him just completely stringing together a bunch of shots against the Miami Heat in overtime, and just really made it extremely difficult for the Miami Heat to overcome that very close thriller there. Keegan Murray had a big fourth quarter, I believe it was. He also went nuts. My phone is legitimately froze on us, by the way. That's why I'm over here filibustering. But it's one of those situations where I just really loved watching the highlights of that particular game. That was my favorite game of the Heat highlights that I watched, and that was the beginning of their road trip. So that's really what it comes down to, man. Just a heavy dose of West Coast for them, and they're finally at the end of that road trip. And I think we can catch them off guard if they come in 1 foot already on the plane, coming into our building. It's been rough. They showed a little lethargy against the Clippers in the last one. And it's just been some tough battles, man. Some tough battles. The Utah game went a little stronger. The Utah played a little better than they were supposed to, that kind of thing. The Heat offense wasn't really working, as you clearly see in the score. They had just gotten their butts whipped by Steph Curry, coming off a double overtime game against the Kings. It's just been a long road trip without Jimmy Butler, some of which has been without Bam Adebayo, for which he's a game time decision, I believe, tonight. So, not to say I feel sorry for the Heat in any way, given the fact that how they whooped us last time, but I do understand why they struggled against the Clippers and ultimately struggled against some of these teams that you would expect for them to beat. You need Jimmy Butler out there, or you need the equivalent of that by making the trade and getting something back that can help their team. And right now, they're just slow to make that happen for themselves, and as a result, they're not looking all that great, man. They're not looking all that great. But they have a positive road trip. With that being said, it's been a positive road trip. They have won 3 of 5 thus far, and we want to keep them, knock them down to 500 on the 6-game road trip by coming into our building and beating them. So that's what it really comes down to. I got my phone running again. I had to restart it. Hopefully it'll give me what I was looking for. But all in all, I think I kind of summed up their road trip. Those are the only games I saw from their highlights. I didn't go back any further than that. They did lose to the Utah Jazz in a home game prior to that. So the game that they beat the Jazz was a little bit of revenge. But that's really what it comes down to, man. I got the Kings game score here. Tyler Hero went for 26 points in that game. Big overtime game. Jaime Jaquez had a triple-double in that one. 16 points, 5 steals, 10 assists, 12 rebounds, 1 block. So, yeah, you got to respect Jaime, man. He's really coming along, and with the absence of Jimmy Butler, he's the guy that's been kind of taking on a good portion of those minutes. Duncan Robinson needs to be mentioned as well. He's been playing some okay ball, not nothing crazy, but he's been contributing. Yeah, you got to watch out. Bam, of course, had a Bam game. 18 points, 12 rebounds, 4 steals, 1 block, 2 assists. Not so great shooting, though. 1 of 5 from the 3, 6 of 19 from behind the arc. So if he would have shot a little better, I think they might have won that game. But, that's what it came down to. DeMar DeRozan with 30. The Sabonis, of course, with 21, 18, 11, 3, and 1. I mean, he's just so underrated. Such a fantastic basketball player and stats man. Malik Monk had a big game. 23 points, 2 steals, 6 assists. But Keon Ellis, man, 17 points, 1 block, 3 steals, 3 assists, 8 rebounds, 3 of 7 from behind the arc, 6 of 11 from the field. He was just tremendous on both sides of the floor. Definitely somebody who's on the rise. And if, this is a situation where I look at a parallel here. I say, Mike Brown didn't want to play Keon Ellis. He's gone. Darvin Ham didn't want to play Max Christie's. He's gone. If those two coaches would have played those two players, I think they'd still be coaching right now. I don't know what's wrong with these coaches, man. I don't understand it. But ever since the Sacramento Kings, and I know this ain't about the Kings, but ever since the Sacramento Kings fired Mike Brown, they've been playing Keon Ellis, and they haven't lost too much since. So that's really what it comes down to. You just got to play your guys that can play some defense on and do two-way things on the wing. I don't understand these coaches. I don't know what the hell's going on with y'all, man. But it costs you your job when you don't identify a guy needs the ball. That's what it really comes down to, and guys need playing time. So obviously Miami doesn't have that problem. They got one of the best coaches on the planet. His name is Eric Spoelstra, and he's going to run circles around JJ if we keep on switching everything. That's what we've been talking about on our team. The Lakers have been switching things defensively, and we keep allowing for teams to run a bunch of screen plays and target the guy they want to attack on defense. And it's been Austin Reeves, it's been Rui Hachimura. As long as we continue to try to run switches, we're going to continue to be able to be exploited on these mismatches. It's the conversation everybody's talking about on all the Laker platforms, man. We got to stop switching everything, JJ. When we did it earlier in the season, it failed us. We got away from it. We became one of the better defensive teams in the league. Now that we made the trade for Dorian Finney-Smith, we're getting back to that switching nonsense, and it's costing us the same way. It doesn't freaking work. Stop freaking doing it. Literally. And if you do anything over and over again without audibling out of it, this league, at this level, they're going to figure you out. And given the fact that it's an exploiting league where people want to exploit your weaknesses, if you allow for yourself to be exploited, then that's just what's going to occur. You're going to get beat on a lot of nights. So I think it's been rather easy to attack the Lakers defensively as of late. We've talked a lot about the offense and thought that was a big part of the problem. But when you look at the numbers that were told to us by Trevor Lane, of whom I watch a lot and pay attention to what he says, he's been telling us that our defense has been trash. And over the last 3 games, we've been the worst defensive team in basketball. And we've been switching all 3 of those games. It's not working. So the Lakers need to get away from that bull crap. JJ Redick needs to quickly audible out of stuff that doesn't work, man. The problem that we've had with maybe 4 or 5 coaches in a row is that we don't make in-game adjustments and we don't tend to identify problems and get away from them quick enough to make us competitive. JJ seemed to have the same problem. We need to not have that problem, period. So our injury report, man, it's rather extensive for both teams, to be honest with you. Bam Adebayo is a game-time decision. Jimmy Butler, of course, out, still suspended. Josh Richardson out with the heel. Drew Smith out for the season with an Achilles. Khalil Ware, game-time decision with a foot. On our side, we got Anthony Davis, game-time decision. Dorian Finney-Smith is a game-time decision. With the personal circumstances, he may not play for his personal circumstances. Jalen Hood-Schifino still out with the hamstring. LeBron James, game time decision for the foot. These guys are playing. Bronny James, game time decision with some type of illness. I'm not really sure what's up with Bronny. He's probably ain't playing anyway. Jared Vanderbilt's still out, but he's close. And Christian Wood still's out, and we don't know a thing about Christian Wood. So that's the word on the Lakers and the Heat for tonight's basketball game. And Lakers are going to be wearing their yellow uniforms. The Heat going to be wearing their black uniforms. Very traditional stuff. Rare traditional. Home team wears home uniform game. We definitely appreciate those. And I expect the stars to be out, even though Jimmy's not out there. I expect this to be a packed house full of celebrities and stuff like that. The Heat and the Lakers are playing Bron's old team. It's gonna be a packed house regardless. Tonight, I expect. Keep an eye open for Tyler Hero, their star right now. He's gonna score over 30 points. It's just a given. Jaime Hawkins, like I said, he's been stepping his game up. Hayward Highsmith had a huge game against us. Should be very, very active tonight. Bam Adebayo is Bam. Whatever he decides to do, he's going to do it on the defensive end. We got to try to win the battle on the boards there. And, hopefully we can get some stuff out of Austin on the offensive end, keep our turnovers down, keep our energy up, and make up for the fact that we've been getting beaten by Texas teams consecutively. Even with the Fires kind of suspending some of our games, we still have had circumstances where we look just as bad as we did before that. And it's a little frustrating. Guys should be well rested. I know we have a little bit of a distraction, to say the least, with the stuff that's going on in our city. But guys need to come out here and play basketball, man. Represent this team, the city correctly. I don't think we've done that over the last couple of games, and we've lost. We've lost those games. So this team is hot and cold, man. That's why I tell people never get too high on the Lakers, never get too low on them, because at the end of the day, they're just a bipolar basketball team, which balances out to be rather average. And that's exactly what I expect from them. They're big highs and big lows. That's really what it comes down to. It's been that way all season. And I don't have any reason to expect anything else from them, man. So, 3-game losing streak, Lakers. That's really what it is. We haven't won since the 3rd against the Hawks. Okay? We've been losing to everybody, man. This is ridiculous. Anybody from Texas just coming in here stomping us out. This is starting to get ridiculous. And I'm tired of it. We need to stop the bleeding. The Heat embarrassed us in the last one. We need to come out and be intentional on embarrassing them. But if we play the way we've been playing, it could be a repeat performance, because our offense has been anemic and our defense has been horrible. And that's really what it comes down to. So if we don't stop some of the stuff that we've been doing the wrong way, we could have another game that's bad. The last game scored 102 points. The game before that, we scored 97 points. I mean, we're just not scoring enough. And 24 assists in that Spur game. I mean, come on, man. We talk about that. The Dallas game, how bad did we assist in that game? Let's see. We had 20 assists in that game. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Seriously. Los Angeles Lakers, your offense is anemic right now. Your rebounding is atrocious. 33 boards against Dallas. I mean, we just embarrassed the hell out of ourselves so bad in that Dallas game, and then turned around a whole week later looking just as lethargic, just as porous in all the areas that we've been bad, man. So, I know that's a 2-game sample size, but we need to get our act together. 19 turnovers against the Spurs, allowing them 16 steals. I mean, we just kept handing them the basketball, man. Handing it to them repeatedly. I mean, it's just been ugly. And I keep telling people, if we're going to ask LeBron James to be our playmaker, our exclusive playmaker, you're going to suck. I'm just being honest with you. I'm sorry, bro. I got to be honest, bro. I like you receiving the basketball. I like you making passes where you see fit. But if I'm asking you to create as a point guard, that's not your strength, bro. And I'm tired of people telling us otherwise, and then us acting as if that lie is the truth and it biting us in the backside. Stop asking him to be the only facilitator in these rotations, man. You have 2 facilitators. One is Austin, one is LeBron. And the other is Jalen Hood-Schifino, of whom's been hurt with a hamstring all year. We need to do something, Rob Pelinka, to get ourselves a second and maybe a third and maybe a fourth, rather, facilitator on this team, or all the different things that make this team go is not going to go well. That's just what it really comes down to. Dorian Finney-Smith is most definitely not the answer. And if I'm being honest with you, he doesn't really look that great to me right now. I don't know if it's because he got personal stuff, he's not in shape. I don't know what's going on. It's still early. He's got a lot of learning to do about this team. But the production that we're getting based on what it is we gave up, it ain't cutting it. And if it holds on to look this way, we got another bad trade on our hands that we're not going to be pleased with in the long run. So I don't know what Rob is going to do, but I hope that he didn't just make another mistake by bringing in Dorian. I really hope he didn't. I really hope he didn't. So that's really what it comes down to, man. Cam Reddish had a really bad game against San Antonio. I'd imagine he's playing tonight. Didn't see him on the injury report. He's got to bounce back, play better, man. Other guys are struggling. We can't have you out there going 1 for 7 from the field, 1 of 4 from behind the arc. Be a playmaker, bro. You had no assists in that game. You're one of the players that I task with being able to make plays for other people if necessary. It's necessary. Stop looking for your own, bro. Seriously. And that goes for everybody on this damn team. Gabe Vincent, we need your playmaking ability. You may not be the greatest playmaker, but you're better than this. Give us more playmaking. Find someone else. Stop looking for your own. Stop looking for your own. Everybody on this team, stop looking for your own, bro. If you're not making plays for somebody else, you're hurting the offense at this point, unless your name is Anthony Davis. He's the only person I need to be thinking like that, and even he needs to be making assists for other people to keep the continuity up. 30 assists, man. That's what it takes to win in this series, in this league. If you don't have it, you likely lost. You likely lost. And so we got to rebound better, definitely better than we did against San Antonio. We need Austin Reeves to find his game again. 4-13, that inefficiency Reeves crap does not work, bro. It don't work. That 4-13, 2-7, we need you to be efficient. It ain't just about hunting out fouls and bricking shots, bro. We need efficiency out there. We don't score enough. And please, for the love of goodness and all things Lakers, can we get Rui Hachimura more than 6 shots tonight? I don't care what you do with Rui. Just make sure he's getting more than 6 shots. I understand that people have said they want him to come off the bench for Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't think either one of those people are starters in the NBA right now, if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't. That's why I'm not the one screaming that. But what I do see fruit in is Rui Hachimura being more of a scorer on this team. We need the efficiency numbers to have the confidence that they do. We need to have more confidence in him shooting the ball because he's more efficient than just about everybody on the team right now, y'all. Every single damn night in small sample size. Why would the sample size not increase based on the efficiency of him hitting shots? It just doesn't make us better. It just doesn't make us better. So that's what I got to say. If moving him to the bench means that he has more opportunities to score because he's not taking away, not having his shots taken away by the stars, then do it. Literally do it. Move him to the bench. Put him in units where he's down there with like Austin Reeves, a facilitator to get him the rock, and look for him on consecutive shots so he can get about 10 shots a game off the bench. That's what you need. You need Rui to attempt about 10 shots, man. 30 assists for the team, 10 shots for Rui. That's what I think will really contribute to us being a much better basketball team. Some things we can't change. Defensive scheme switching and all that, we're probably going to give up 120 points. But we're not going to score 121 unless we get 30 assists as a team and get the hot hand of damn basketball for more attempts based on how well they're shooting throughout the course of the game. That's what I say, man. If it's Max Christie, feed him. If it's Austin Reeves, then keep shooting. If it's LeBron James, then feed him. If it's Rui Hachimura, you definitely need to feed him because that's the one thing that we don't do. We just do not look for Rui on the offense. And then he sucks in every other area. Let's just be honest. He's not that good at anything else. And you're telling him the one thing that he's good at, you give him the fewest opportunities with? Come on, JJ. How much of this crap do you have to see, bro? Is nobody suggesting this to you? This is ridiculous, man. Rui needs more shots. He ain't good at nothing else. That's it. All he is good at is shooting the ball. So why is he not shooting, bro? You want to do everything but shoot, and he ain't going to do any of that. The rebounding, they ain't going to do none of that, man. He's a scorer, pure scorer. And if you give him enough shots to make that make sense, he will score a lot. And you'll probably win a lot, too. What does the world look like if Rui Hachimura is attempting 15 shots a night? I just want to know. What does the world look like if we just take 2 weeks and make sure that Rui is one of the most important players, maybe even our third option offensively? If just everybody's looking for Rui, based on the shots that he's making per night, percentage-wise, we're probably scoring like 130 points a night. But nobody wants to envision Rui as a 30-point scorer. He's not a 6-point guy, a 9-point guy. You're playing him like he is. And it's making our team worse, and I cannot stress this enough. He ain't doing nothing else. Give him a damn rock for shooting opportunities. That's it. I need everybody looking for Rui, man. Everybody looking for AD, everybody looking for Rui. If you're not doing that, then you're probably not going to win the game. I think it really comes down to that. If we're asking Austin Reeves to take 13 shots and he's hitting 4 of them, there's lost possessions that could go to the more efficient shooter. I mean, it's common damn sense. So that's really what I got to say, man. I'm not seeing enough offensively. Our defense is a scheme issue. You want to switch everything, they're gonna screen you to death, find a mismatch, and score on the guy. I mean, it's not that hard, man. Figure it out. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. I'm hopeful that the Lakers can kind of give us some energy, makes us feel confident about this team. I'm not in love with the roster right now. The way we're constructed just is an eyesore for me from night in and night out. I really appreciate games where guys look to move the ball a lot, and I just don't think that we're capable of doing that right now based on our personnel. And I don't think we can win very much because of it. And I'm concerned we're going to start tumbling down the standings based on the things that I've been concerned with and others have been concerned with. We really do need to adjust our roster because the roster is broken right now. I don't know that it wasn't necessarily broken when we had D'Lo, but it's definitely broken now. That's for damn sure. So, Rob, you gotta do something to get us a damn facilitator down there or two. And if you're gonna get us a big man, I think that would obviously help us in our quest to be a champion. But if you get the big man and don't get the facilitators, you ain't going too far any damn way. I'm just being honest with you. That ain't the problem. That ain't the only problem anyway. It's not the crux of why you're not good enough to win right now. It's the crux of why you're not good enough to win against certain teams, though, so we do need to address it. But, yeah, man, that's really what it comes down to. I think the Lakers are going to start stumbling down the standings if they continue on the path that they've been on these last two games, man. And judged by how this team is constructed, I have every reason to think they are. So hopefully I'm wrong, but the Miami Heat really did stomp a mud hole in our backside in the last time, and I want some revenge, man. I want some damn revenge. I want our team to show up with some damn pride. I don't give a damn if they haven't traded away them picks, and a lot of y'all think that we're not on board with the team being better because we want to be conservative with picks. It's not even about that. It's just us not being in a very responsible position to trade away those picks and not suffer greatly for it in the future. And while people want us to sacrifice and suffer greatly for them in the future, some things are just too much, and that's what I want LeBron and AD to understand specifically. Us giving away the last two picks we have is too much for our future to, regardless if you're worth it or not, man. It's not about you. It's about the future of our franchise being in the complete dumps if we invest in that way and not get back something that's good. And if we look at the way our situation is going, do we really, and I got to ask Bron and AD this, to be honest, bro, if you're me, do you really trust Rob Pelinka right now to get me a return that makes those picks make sense to give up and to throw my future in the toilet? At this point, based on what we've seen, I do not, and it's less about me not thinking you're worth it and more about me not thinking he's capable. And I got to be honest about that. I got to be real honest with that. I just don't think he's capable of getting me a good return on my two picks. If I thought I had a GM that can get me a great return on my two picks, I may be more likely to want to give them up at this point. But I don't want my stars to think that just because we're not playing at a certain level that I think that they're not worth it. That's not the motivation behind me not wanting to give up those picks. It's that I desperately do not want to be so inept that it's going to take 10 and 12 years to get out of the toilet. And I think if I have my two picks, I can save myself from that pain. And so that's what I want the stars to understand. If we had more, we could do more. If we had better, we'd do better. But with what it is that we have, I do not think that the market is going to be kind to Rob Pelinka, and I don't know that Rob Pelinka is able to make the market kind to him in a way that allows for our team to be as good as we need to be in order to give up those picks and feel good about it in the long term or even the short term for that matter. So that's really what I got to say. The evidence is piling up against Rob, man. This Dorian Finney-Smith trade does not look good right now, man. I'm just being honest, and I know I'm the only person saying it, but it's how I feel. It created a hole in our team that made us even worse of a basketball club. And I don't know if we can fix this problem if this is the only trade they're going to make. BDL 44, I thank y'all for watching.